Ready? You guys ready? Good evening and welcome to the January 12th, 2026 meeting of the Shawnee City Council. I'm Mayor Mickey Sandifer and I will be chairing this meeting. I'll do a roll call at this time. Councilmember Reynolds.
Present.
Councilmember Whitted.
Present.
Councilmember Pearson.
Present.
Councilmember Murphy.
Present.
Councilmember Knappen.
Present.
Councilmember Rainey. Councilmember Birchfield.
Present.
Councilmember Allred.
Present.
Thank you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, I'd like to explain our procedures for public input. In an effort to enhance residents' ability to present information to the governing body, anyone interested in addressing the governing body is strongly encouraged to sign up to speak by noon on the day of the meeting. But that is not required. Information has been posted online about how to sign up. By policy, comments are limited to 5 minutes, and no person may speak more than once to any one agenda item. Only comments related to city business are permitted. Disruptive acts are not permitted as per policy number 7 and will not be tolerated. Additional comments may be submitted to the entire governing body via email at governingbody@cityofshawnee.org. Next on the agenda is consent agenda. Is there anyone on the council like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion. Jeannie?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Sierra?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is business from the floor. Is there anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, Mayor. We had 3 pre-registered. The first is Alex Valdez.
Okay. Please come up to the podium, and when you're finished, put your name and number on the pad next to on the podium there. You have 5 minutes.
Sir. Hello, my name is Alexander Valdez, and I'm a resident here in this city of Shawnee. I want to thank my fellow residents for taking the time out of their busy lives to come and voice their opinions and concerns to our elected officials. Change takes effort, and it's facilitated by the voices of all of those around us. So thanks again for coming, guys. As an American citizen, I have great pride in the freedoms and rights afforded to us in our country, of the safety and security that is supposed to be provided by our systems of law and due process. There is a social contract that is formed between the persons within this country and the government that runs it. We agree to accept certain laws and rules in our society. We pay taxes. We respect the life, liberty, and property of others. In exchange, the government has a duty to provide stability, to defend the rights and liberties of all its people, and to foster a society that promotes growth, safety, and the opportunity for self-betterment. This is the quintessential American dream. Anyone from any walk of life can be in America and succeed. This social contract, this American dream, is one of the greatest things that makes America, America. Unfortunately, this American ideal is being dismantled and eroded by the actions of the federal government and of their agents within the Department of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. As many of you are aware of the terrible incident that took place last week, January 7th, and you've seen the disturbing footage. Renee Nicole Good, a mother of 3 children and former Kansas City resident and Christian missionary, was murdered by an ICE agent who repeatedly shot her in the face. She was called an explicitive by the same agent who did not give any immediate medical treatment to the ICE agent, or to Nicole. And then those same ICE agents barred a local physician from attempting to render aid. Renee died at the scene. Renee Nicole Good was an American citizen, not an illegal immigrant, not a capital criminal, not a drug trafficker. She was a law-abiding American citizen who had no other public criminal record outside of traffic violations. She was shot dead in the streets in front of her wife and left to die by the same government that was and still is obligated to protect her and her family. And Mrs. Good is not the only one. What is stopping this type of grisly injustice from occurring in our community? The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution states that the right of the people is to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures, and that shall not be violated. The Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law. And the 14th Amendment states that no state shall make or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens within the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of laws. These amendments also encompass non-US citizens. And with these protections, and without these protections, the government could arrest anyone for anything. Each and every member of this council, as well as our local law enforcement, have taken the oath to uphold the Constitution and to protect and serve the members of our community. This social contract that you have entered as being duly elected public officials demands that this duty be upheld thoroughly and exhaustively. Before I ask my questions, I would like to recite the 1946 quote from the German pastor Martin Niemöller, condemning the Germans in leadership roles and their complicity regarding the Nazification of their country, of the church, and of the subsequent subjugation of the peoples within. When the Nazis came for the communists, I kept quiet. I wasn't a communist. When they came for the trade unionists, I kept quiet. I wasn't a trade unionist. When they locked up the Social Democrats, I kept quiet. I wasn't a Social Democrat. When they locked up the Jews, I kept quiet. I wasn't a Jew. When they came for me, there was no one left to protest. With this quote in mind, my questions are as follows. With ICE being present in the Kansas City Metro, how does this council propose to protect us from the unlawful abductions and the extrajudicial killings of American citizens by the federal government and ICE agents? Will you direct our local law enforcement to comply and assist with ICE's illegal operations? And how will this council respond to pressure from the state, federal, or county governments to comply with ICE's initiatives? Thank you.
Thank you. Who else do you have?
Next is Jean-Michael Goupillot.
Mayor and council members, thanks for having me here tonight. I come here because I have been witnessing for several years what I think is a really dangerous situation between Flum and 67th Street, going southbound every morning. My wife and I have been nearly run off the road there. Kids rushing to get to school will go into oncoming traffic and drive to get onto 67th Terrace to cut through the neighborhood. And they're driving through there like it's a racetrack. In talking to some of the members in my neighborhood, I learned that my neighbor's best friend died at that intersection when he was in high school. Now, I'm not a fan of writing tickets and doing all that stuff. I think some of that is beyond what it needs to be, but safety should be paramount. I see police officers parked on Shawnee Mission Parkway regularly, waiting for people to drive by and give them tickets. But I never see a police presence at that intersection, never. And it starts from Flum all the way up to 67th because those lanes merge. It is like a drag strip going through there in the mornings. And, I got a 14-year-old daughter who's permitted to learn how to drive right now. And the example she witnesses every morning when her mother or I take her to school is not the example I want her seeing in our community. It's just a matter of time before something else happens there. I have a friend that lives on the second house of that street, 67th Terrace. He's got 2 young boys. The way people are going through that street in the morning to try to race to school, they don't know what they're risking, and heaven forbid somebody gets hit, somebody dies. Not only do we lose that life, the person that hits them has to live with that for the rest of their life, which is massive punishment, right? And so I think we owe it to the community to have a police presence there. Consider maybe, I don't know how you guys write laws with respect to traffic and signage and all that other stuff. I'm not trying to be an expert in that, But it seems logical that somebody should take a look at it and see if something has to change. Because it is dangerous. It is very dangerous. We've got, 15, 16-year-old kids driving in our community, and they got 4,000 pounds behind them, and they're late to school, and they're putting everybody else at risk. And this is my first time here, so if anything I'm doing, I didn't have like a professional speech or anything. But I really would just beg you guys to, whether it's the cops come show up a couple mornings and just watch, or you guys yourselves take a trip over there if you haven't already in the morning, just to see what it's like. I only see the 5 minutes that I go through. I can't imagine what it is for 30. So, just please, put it somewhere on a list of agenda items to evaluate, because I don't think any one of us want to be, sitting here reading the news when someone gets taken out. Appreciate you guys.
And Paul, you take note of that? Yes. We're taking note of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda.
And next, Mayor, we have Gene Sinisak.
Phone number or address? It asks for address.
Just phone number and address. Thank you. I'm Gene Sinisak. I live in Olathe. I'm retired. I enjoy looking at numbers, and I've looked at a lot of city budgets just because personal finance is very important to me. I think we're in a very difficult environment right now for a lot of people with some of the things that we've had going on. So I just want to make a few general comments. I would say somewhat in depth at your finance statement last night, the city's financials, just to gain an understanding as I've looked at some other cities as well. I just want to go through and make a few comments of what I saw there. First of all, whoever prepares that document and puts it online, you do a very good job. I think that, I don't know if I'm looking at finance over here, but I would tell you that that's one of the most informational and explanatory finance documents that I see out there. So kudos to you for that. I see a lot of infrastructure focus there, which I think is very good. I'm heavy on infrastructure as well. I think it's very important. It doesn't get the glitz and glamour that some of the other items do, but yet it's critical. If you ever turn on the faucet and you didn't have clean, potable water, you would certainly want to know what the heck have we overlooked here. So it's a very good area to have focus. Speaking to the city, I see you've got 72,000 residents. 18,000 or 55 plus, or about 25% of the population. I think that's really a telling tale for what we have to address in the years ahead of us. We've got a birth rate that's down significantly. We know that that's the largest growing demographic out there. Healthcare is so very important. There's a lot of other services that go along with being retired too that you come to expect. Being able to stay in your home is certainly an objective. And we've seen a lot of areas where we've had senior housing added, forbid that you have to go into it, but it's very expensive. And like I say, it's the last thing that you want to have to do. I see you have a 10-year CIP. A lot of other cities that I look at, they have 5 years. So again, kudos to you guys for having a 10-year. I think it's very important. And I'm sure other people are looking at their infrastructure beyond 5 years, certainly, because it's got a life that extends well beyond that. But you put it right out there in the open, and I think that's great that you've done that. 358 full-time employees, and I believe it's correct that I saw mention, I don't remember where I saw it, but I said 7% turnover. I think I probably got that right. I think I pulled it right out of your numbers. I read that, and 7% I would say looks low. 14 openings currently are about 3.9% of your workforce. I do see that you, as I see in some other budgets, I see a forward number used for personnel compensation. Having come from corporate, I would state that that looks quite unusual to me to forecast several years in advance of where you would budget compensation. I think that compensation needs to be tied to the performance that's done by the individual, and there's some, or it could be more or less. Maybe you're using it only as a target in a general sense.
But I would also challenge that it may set a false expectation, and maybe you should, if I were doing it, I would reconsider putting something like that in writing. As with other city budgets, from what I see, it looks like you have excellent benefits. So I think there's value to be gained by working for the city. Low turnover is a plus. I would, in any corporate wage structure, and I think the same thing you should see in city. I see a lot of talk about keeping up with what's going on elsewhere, and it almost feels as if it's a leapfrog within the industry itself or within city budgets. And I would challenge that when we're talking about doing reviews of salary, that it needs to be looked at in terms of the performance of the individual and focus on the areas that maybe are non-competitive. Because in this environment right now, I'm going to say that not many people are jumping around. And it's not a case of, I think that the turnover is happening at the higher levels, it's at the lower levels, and those areas that probably need to be addressing the most. I see a forward forecast on your taxes of 3.4 to 4.9% a year. Certainly property taxes are high on everybody's minds right now. I would even go so far as to say they're unsustainable in terms of the path that we've taken. And that's why I would challenge all cities to look very closely at what their budgets are in line item cases, to look for areas that you can possibly save and help the homeowners in their own budgets, because I think it's going to be difficult yet for a couple of years ahead of us. Thanks for receiving my comments. Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, that's all that's pre-registered.
Anyone in the audience like to speak on business from the floor? Seeing none. Next item is mayor's items, and I don't have anything this evening. And the next item on the agenda are items from the Planning Commission meeting, December 1st, 2025. Item number 1 is to consider approving an ordinance for RZ 25-05 to rezone approximately 7.41 acres of agricultural to single-family residential for the Lysom fields. Is that right?
Elysium.
If I'm close.
Close enough.
And subdivision, a 6-lot single-family residential development proposed in the 5900 block of Alden Street. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Doug Allman, our Community Development Director, will handle this item.
Good evening, everyone. I will just give a very brief project overview and then open it up to questions for myself, and I believe the applicant is here as well. As the mayor said, the applicant does propose to construct a single-family residential subdivision in the 5900 block of Alden. This is on just over 7 acres. The proposed preliminary plat will include 6 single-family residential lots and 1 tract. 3 of those lots will be accessed by a private cul-de-sac connection on Johnson Drive, and the intent of that is to limit driveway access directly to Johnson Drive on that very busy street. There are no previous approvals or entitlements for this larger parcel. However, the existing single-family home directly at the southwest corner of Johnson and Alden was rezoned from Ag to R1 and split out from the overall parent tract in February of 2025. That existing home and lot are not part of this requested rezoning. The subject site is designated as traditional residential neighborhood within our Achieve Shawnee comprehensive plan. Based on this, and the development and the rezoning are in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan. Rezoning of the property for single-family uses will not have a detrimental effect upon the surrounding area. The property has been developed with a single-family home in the past, and the creation of 6 large lots for new single-family homes is compatible with existing residential development patterns in the area. A public hearing was held on this item at the December 1st, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission heard testimony from 2 folks who lived to the south, staff, and the applicant was able to answer those questions, I believe, adequately. And based on that, the Planning Commission unanimously concluded the use of the property for large lot single-family homes did make sense based on the existing development patterns in the area. For this, as it is a rezoning and ordinance is required, no protest petition was submitted. So that means that for this to be approved, it requires 5 votes or 5 votes to remand the request back to the Planning Commission, or 6 votes to deny the request by overriding the recommendation of the Planning Commission. At that same December 1st meeting, as I said, the Planning Commission did vote 9-0 unanimously and recommended that the governing body approve the rezoning subject to the conditions and the Planning Commission staff report. With that, I would open it up to any questions. I would say that the applicant is here as well.
Anyone have any questions for staff? Anyone signed up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this issue? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
Move to approve.
Have a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda are staff items. Item number 1 is to consider approving 2026 Fire and Police Department annual physicals. Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our Fire Chief, Rick Potter, will handle this item. We also have our Police Chief, Sam Larson, here if there are any questions about the Police Department's role in this item. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, Mayor, members of council. Thank you. This is a request this evening to approve the payment for our annual physicals. These are part of our annual process. It's part of our health and wellness program. Firefighters are exposed to a lot of additional carcinogens as part of the regular role or duties that we do in extinguishing fires. Additionally, the police department is also exposed to many of those same chemicals as they're responding with us. So part of the deal, we've been using LifeScan for a few years now. And the advantage to this is that they come into, we host them in our facility, and we can reduce the amount of, we don't have to pay overtime because our firefighters do it while they're on duty and they're in our location as well. So we save quite a bit that way. It's also very flexible, very customizable. So the fire department can get the labs that we need, those that are appropriate for our risk, our hazards, but the police department can also look at those and request the labs that are more specific to the inherent risks that are in their line of work as well. So this is something that we've done. The amount per physical has gone up to the point where now that exceeds the cap each year that we need to do as part of our regular. And this is already in our budget that was presented last year. And so our request is that you would approve that for us to do this year. And I would be ready for any questions.
have any questions?
90,000 for police and 90,000 for fire, or 90,000 in total?
Combined.
Okay, and then when they come to you, will you do it all at the fire department, or is that going to be like set up a time at the police station, set up a time at the fire station?
So we have different time for both. It takes about 3 weeks to get all of them worked in, but they are all housed. We do them at Station 72, so it's right next door to the police department. But we do host them in our building. They're able to do them, but it takes about 3 weeks to get it done.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Laura?
I don't have a question, Chief. I just wanted to say thank you for always prioritizing the health of your staff and also the police department. I think it's really important that we are taking these extra steps to make sure they receive kind of that advanced screening and can get any support and help that they need for their health conditions as a result of what they're doing for us in the city of Shawnee. So no question, just thank you.
You're welcome. And that's for Chief Larson and myself, that's in our staffs. We view the opportunity of catching something early increases a chance of success and a successful outcome, also reducing the costs. It's not just about money, but that is a factor as well. But the bigger piece is we believe it'll have a better chance of success if we can catch something early.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this issue? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion. Laurel?
Move to approve.
Kiara? Go ahead.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 2 is to consider final order to contract number 2025-061 with Infrastructure Solutions LLC for the Lake Crest and 55th Terrace and Brown Ridge CMP replacement project. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next 2 items will be handled by Kevin Manning, our Public Works Director.
Good evening. Both items tonight will be final change orders. This first one is for the Lake Crescent 55th Terrace and Brown Ridge SMAC program. So this is one of the projects that we received basically 50% funding from the county. It's basically kind of two locations, as you can see on your screen, rolled into one. So projects are complete, and there's basically a reduction in quantity. So we didn't basically need to do as much work as originally anticipated. So that ended up being a reduction in cost of $18,919.50 for a final contract amount of $480,811.50. So that's what you're approving tonight, is that final change order.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll take a Jeannie motion.
Always glad to move to approve for the fact that we saved money.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 3 is to consider approving change order number 3 to contract number 2023-082 with Infrastructure Solutions LLC for the 2024 annual stormwater pipe repair project. Oh,
Once again, Kevin Manning.
So on this item, if you're aware, this particular program, the pipe repair program, is basically once again a collaboration of kind of mini projects around the city. And so obviously we're well out of 2024 right now, but essentially what happens on these sometimes, and on this particular one, we kind of had a project we ended up adding on to this, a sinkhole that formed in early 2025. So we ended up doing that work, and then we didn't come back and do restoration until the fall. And so it ends up kind of delaying the end of the contract. So the vast majority of this work has been done for some time now, but this is why it's just coming before you now. So this item before you tonight is a reduction in cost of $119,147.72 for a final contract amount of $1,918,508.58. And so once again, you're approving that final change order tonight.
thank you for you guys' work. Anybody have any questions? Anyone sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion. Laurel?
Move to approve.
Okay, Eric?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items. Item number 1 is to ratify the semi-monthly claims for January 12th, 2026 in the amount of $10,738,272.12. Anyone have any sign up for this? Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? Hearing none, accept the motion. Somebody, Laurel?
Move to approve.
Aaron?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. Anybody, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 2 is miscellaneous council items. Paul, do you have anything?
Yes, I have a couple quick updates since it's been a while since we've all been together. For the first update, I'm going to ask our Assistant City Manager, Lauren Grasshoff, to come up and give you a quick update on the property tax rebate program.
All right, good evening. We just wanted to fill you in on how we're going to do outreach for this year's property tax rebate program. It was started in 2022. Really, this is a targeted approach to reach those homeowners within the community that have a higher cost burden for their housing. So we provide, it's a property tax rebate of the city property taxes only. It's 100% up to $500. And it does require the owner-occupied residents of their home current on their property taxes, and it does have an income threshold as well. So the application period started on January 2nd and actually was extended this year to go to May 15th. With the outreach, we are really trying to double down this year because the funding for this program was doubled with the 2026 budget that was approved by the city council. So we're kind of exploring just our regular outreach avenues with our All Things Hometown newsletter, social media, and then our e-newsletters, but really then trying to focus on that direct outreach. So we are actually started today or doing cross training within different departments to help with work sessions, to fill out applications, to review the rebate applications so that we can get a little bit ahead of processing, just as well as provide any assistance with those. We have one already planned, one of those work sessions here at City Hall at the end of January, and we're looking at other areas and opportunities to get into the community to host those. We will provide additional updates on the exact location, time of those, but being flexible with timing, locations, getting out to the different community members. Also looking at direct mailers within areas that we know we have probably a high probability of those cost burden homes. So postcards, we just did a direct mailer for our some additional programs, sending the applications to previous applicants. So assuming they're eligible, and again, providing that ease of opportunity to take advantage of this program. And then also, as mentioned, kind of that direct outreach flyers within all of our different city facilities, grocery stores, libraries, those places where sort of there's community gathering, and then outreach within our connections within the religious communities. So this is kind of our path moving forward this year. And like I said, we do have double the funding for this program. So we are hoping to capture even more residents that can have use of this program. And we had about 90 participants last year. We would love to double that. We also are looking forward to 2027. We have expressed to Johnson County, partnering with them. They run an almost exact program. They have the same eligibility criteria, same applications, work on the same timeline as far as accepting those applications. So we think it could be a good partnership potentially in 27 of just having one application to qualify for the different city and county rebates. So it is something we're working on and hope to move forward in 2027.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Well, Laurel, go ahead.
All right. Thank you for that update, Lauren. And thank you to the entire team for putting such an emphasis on this program. I think you know that it's a priority of all of ours to make sure that this is successful and reaches more people. So thank you for all the energy you're putting into it. I think I heard you say that some of the external entities you're partnering with include like our faith community. Does that also include those social service agencies that we provide like CDBG dollars to, and those that we know are on the front lines of serving those who may benefit from this program?
Yeah, so that's absolutely a great contact and a resource that we do have within our CDBG programs to let those service agencies know about this program. Absolutely.
Aaron?
Yeah, just a quick question. Since you mentioned Johnson County, are they able currently this year to get both the Johnson County rebate and a rebate with the city, or is it one or the other?
Yeah, so because ours is just the county, theirs is just their county property tax. And actually, it's probable that homeowners might also qualify for a state property tax rebate as well. So there are opportunities for residents to use multiple rebates. And that is actually something we are going to advertise, as well as just some additional resources if residents do need those.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Is there anyone on the council have any items to discuss?
I have two more, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
It's okay. I'll make them quick. They're quick updates. Since we last met, there's been a large announcement related to the Chiefs, and I'm not here to talk about the Chiefs, how the deal works or anything like that. However, the city of Shawnee was included in a map that was made public by the Department of Commerce. So I just had a couple comments about items that have come to my attention, and I believe some of yours. So first off, I don't know anything more than has been made publicly. And so I think there's a lot of work over the next 6 to 9 months on due diligence. So any questions about bonds or anything like that would be out of my purview. So what I'm going to do is just hit on a few things directly related to the city of Shawnee and our ability to provide services to our residents. The first one that comes up the most is local sales tax. The city of Shawnee levies a total local sales tax of 1.625%. That's a 1% general sales tax, an 1/8 cent for parks and pipes, an 1/8 cent for public safety, and 3/8 cent for Shawnee pavement tax. None of this local sales tax revenue is included or at risk of being included in any STAR bond project. Two other local cities, I think, have been in the news about being asked to consider to pledge a local portion of their sales tax or a portion of their local sales tax. Shawnee is not one of them. And unless directed by the governing body, which I do not foresee, Shawnee will not be taking any action related to our local sales tax. And there are no plans, again, for Shawnee to consider any local sales tax pledge. Second item that I've been asked about is the local or the alcohol tax revenue. The alcohol tax is collected by the state and remitted back to the city, and this tax could legally be retained by the state. The city has communicated to the Department of Commerce and the Lieutenant Governor and all of our delegation that we have a strong preference that this revenue, which is approximately 1.3 million annually, continue to be fully retained by the city of Shawnee to allow us to use it for the resources we've been using it for to this date. And then finally, being included in the district. It was a bit of a surprise that Shawnee was included in the district. Our concern there is once an area is included in an active star bond district, it cannot be used for another star bond project. The current draft map does include the entire city of Shawnee within the district, and this could prevent the city from using star bonds as a tool in the future. We don't have anything on the horizon, but it is a tool. Some cities have multiple star bond projects, and we are asking the state for some flexibility so that tool is not taken out of the toolbox. The city has communicated this directly to the state. So again, no decisions have been finalized at this time, and my pledge to the governing body and the public is we will continue to work with the state with the primary goal of protecting the city of Shawnee's revenues, and preserving future economic development tools for Shawnee residents and businesses. That's all I had on that one.
Thank you. Anyone on the council have any items they'd like to discuss?
I have one more, unless there's any questions
I
on
thought
the
you
last
said there was no more.
I have one more, unless there's any questions on this one. Okay, so the final thing was before the break, Commissioner Knappen brought up the Kratom or 70H issue. So I wanted to give a quick update on steps taken to date. Colin and I have raised the concerns regarding this with the city's full state legislative delegation, including representatives and senators. We've worked with Representative Steens to explore whether the issue could be brought back before the House committee during the legislative session. It has been before the House committee 3 separate times, and the vice chair is in favor of continuing those hearings. We've consulted with the Johnson County District Attorney's Office, the Johnson County Crime Lab, and the Shawnee Police Department regarding enforcement and testing capabilities. We've learned that local enforcement would be extremely limited due to lack of validated testing methods. And we've received indications that the issue may be discussed during the upcoming legislative session. The timing and outcomes do remain uncertain. So next steps, along with the steps and awareness that I just mentioned, there could be one more that I think could reinforce our stance with the state, but I feel it would require council consensus. And so if there is consensus from the governing body, staff could draft a formal letter to the Kansas Attorney General expressing the city's concerns, requesting support for state level legislative action, and encouraging coordination with the KBI and relevant agencies regarding testing and enforcement. The step would reinforce that Shawnee is proactive and takes the issue seriously while remaining aligned with the view that a statewide solution is the most effective approach. So if there is consensus, I would draft a letter and send that on behalf of the governing body to the Attorney General's office to encourage them to continue to look into this matter.
We have a consensus.
Or any questions?
I don't have anything against it.
Right. So we have referenced federal studies related to this. We have talked to the House committees, and they've done a lot of the due diligence on this. So we're hoping we learn more through the House committees. The city is not contemplating any action at this point. It's relying on the work done by the state at the state level and the House committees at the state level.
Okay. Yeah, for me at this time, I don't think enough information has been presented to warrant further action.
Okay.
Who's for it? Consistent. Okay, we got 4, 5, 6. You got it.
Okay.
Is that all you have?
That's it.
Now, does anyone on the council have any items? Kurt?
I just want to follow up with a couple of comments, basically from what Paul said. First of all, thank you for taking a proactive approach in protecting Shawnee from as much revenue as we can with these star bonds. I was very surprised to hear that Shawnee was included. and in the area, and I received several emails from constituents stating that they were not happy about their taxes going to support it. As excited as I am about Kansas getting the Chiefs. Secondly, I just want to thank you again for proposing that we send that letter. And I brought this subject up. I want to thank Eric Person also sent me some more information on kratom, which again are opioid derivatives. I think that they've shown to do a lot of harm, and I think a lot of states are looking into how to do it. I was hoping we could do something at a city level, but after research, staff says it would be much better handled at a state level. So hopefully we can get that moved and through the state level. And I'm happy that Shawnee is going to take a proactive approach and lead in this area. I think that some of these companies that are selling it and the owners may turn into the next Purdue Pharma and the next Sackler family because they're definitely causing harm and they're very addictive and they're completely unregulated. So with that, thank you guys for at least getting a consensus to support that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Jenny?
Yeah, sadly, in just the last few weeks, Ward 2 has been struck with a number of house fires that have been either very damaging or total losses. It's always hard. It's hard this time of year. Our fire department always does great work, but I was really touched by a photograph I saw in the news after a house was basically destroyed of a guitar and a photo album that had been brought out of the house and placed on the neighbor's driveway. And to know that our firefighters not only searched the house twice despite a collapsing roof to make sure there was no one in it, they then took the time to protect a couple of personal items. So special thank you to our fire department and for the fact that they, in the middle of everything else, think about the families.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. Next item on the agenda is an executive session. Item number 1 is to recess into executive session for 25 minutes with the city manager, Paul Kramer, city attorney, Jenny Smith, and attorney Kevin Wimpy. Recessing to executive session for the proposal or propose of for the purpose of a consultation with an attorney by the body, with an attorney for the body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship in accordance with the KSA 75-4319B2 for the purpose of protecting the confidentiality of those communications. At the conclusion of the executive session, the meeting will reconvene in the council chambers. Do I have a motion? Jenny?
Move to recess to executive session for 25 minutes.
Laurel?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I will accept a motion to conclude, or, okay, well, I'll be back. I thought I needed to read it. Buddy?
Motion to conclude the executive session and reconvene the meeting.
Okay. Here,
Second.
we've got a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We are back in our normal meeting. If there are no other items, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned.